Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with his, I almost said Tuesday. It's not Tuesday, it's Wednesday. Anna Kelly. Hi, Anna.
Hi, good to see you.
Nice to see you as well. I get lost all the time. I wake up and think it's Saturday, but it's not. It's Wednesday. And my brain gets all confused. I apologize.
The life of someone financially free,
Yeah, it's
right?
wonderful. I'm
It
so
is
lucky.
great.
Hey, what I wanted to talk to you about today is I don't want to put words in your mouth, but having talked to you now for almost 3 years in a row, I think you and I see the next 5 years, potentially the next decade, kind of the same in that we saw a lot of appreciation that was Fed induced, risk on. Now we have risk off. I think it's very likely, Anna, that both the stock market and housing, when it's now 2030, we look backwards, we really saw a flat decade, or at least a flat to this period. And if that's the case, well, let's start there. Do you think a flat, the next 8 years is, how do you feel about that?
I do. Generally speaking, across the board, and we can get more nuanced as we go in the conversation, but generally speaking, we are in an asset bubble where artificially low, historically low interest rates set by the Fed, to your point, have caused a lot of borrowing. And when you can buy stuff with leverage, loans, mortgages at 75, 80%, and not use very much of your money, and the payment is so low,
Yeah.
you can afford to pay more. And so real estate has been cheaper in terms of its rates, and it's dollar per cash flow that you're spending on your mortgage debt, right?
Mhm.
That's caused asset values to go up. Companies have borrowed extremely cheap and been able to grow because of that cheap debt. So the value on their company goes up. All of that's coming to a stop. And all of that debt, a lot of which is variable, starts to roll over more expensive. And values then have to come back down to compensate for that more expensive debt. So if you look at where things are now, I would say over the next 5 years, values probably start tricking. Maybe they're flat over the next year, then they start tricking down. Even if they come back up, it's probably pretty flat. A lot of hedge fund analysts, a lot of big money managers, they all say the same thing. Bank on 0% in the stock return. Ray Dalio says if you're doing well, you're making 3% over the next year.
Yeah, I kind of see it the same way. And then when I look at that and I go, this is just how sick I am sometimes. I look at that and I go, that's awesome. That's the exact market I want. Because what really it becomes back to being, if you're talking stock, it's a stock pickers market. Finally, people who do the work can find the deals. The last couple of years, because debt was so cheap, all you had to do was throw your money into the middle of the table and you won.
Absolutely.
It was like you were on a heater, right? You couldn't lose.
Yes.
Now, going to be lots of mistakes to be made. It's the person that does the work is going to find the deals. The person that has the most in real estate, the more conversations you have, the more people you tell, better your chances. In real estate, the person that does the work is going to find the best deals. I am more excited. The only year that was better for me was 2010. And I was nervous in 2010 because I was buying stuff so cheap, but the world was falling apart.
Right.
Today, I'm ecstatic because I know, in fairness, I don't have to do a deal, which is a great feeling.
Yes.
But 2, I know I will only do great deals.
Yes.
That is awesome feeling. And they're out there. We just have to find them, talk, network, keep doing the work, right? I'm excited for the next decade. Am I crazy?
No.
Okay,
I'm excited for the next decade too, in a different way, right? You kind of, I was telling somebody the other day, there's always going to be an element of hard, and hard is different at the top and hard is different at the bottom. At the bottom, deals are plentiful. Money is hard to find and hard to get, right? At the top, deals are top dollar. They don't cash flow, but the money flows. And so you have to learn to kind of deal with the hard that you have at the time, but just keep buying, But to your point about the lost decade, many investors in an upward cycle, in expansion, everything's growing. So you go into a growth stock, people are banking on appreciation of stock, of real estate, et cetera, because it just kept going up, right? The days of banking on appreciation are over till you're at the bottom of recession and you're starting to come up for recovery. So you've got to go for value, right? You want to find cheap stuff again. And when a recession comes and when the economy kind of starts to teeter, that's when you can pick up those value companies, those value real estate deals. Then you hold them through the next decade. So even though I believe that the economy may be generally flat, stock market may be generally flat, as a real estate investor, if I sold at the top and I have cash and I'm buying at the bottom, I have nowhere to go but back up again.
Yeah. And the other great thing about residential real estate, obviously, this is something else I put out there that drove people crazy, is if the 30-year interest rates gets to heaven, say 8%, I'm even more excited because I only do great deals given my cost of capital or cost of money. And if I can find a great deal at 8%, because again, as we talked about in video 1, there will be people that have to sell.
Right.
And, they might want to ask 500, but if my numbers say 420, I'm only going to offer 420. And if they have to sell, they'll take 420 because I'm the only buyer. And then I will sit on that 8% mortgage for 3, 5, 8, 9 years until the Fed does until they do what they do. And then I'll refi at 4% or 5% and my cash flow explodes.
Right.
So,
and your value goes up because things are starting to rise again. So then you cash out your equity at a lower rate and you start the whole thing over again.
Yeah. So I'm ecstatic for the next decade. Again, I realize I'm spoiled. It is very powerful to know you don't have to do a deal. Right.
Yes.
But yeah, I did a lot of deals the last couple of years. I'm more excited for the next couple of years because of this. And really the key for me is you got to do the work. This is going to be, everybody knows it's a stock picker's market, right? You don't do the index because the index is flat. I want to tell you there's the same thing in real estate. The last 3 or 4 years, anybody who bought one, that is not normal. And I would argue not healthy. There were bad operators. There were gamblers. There were people doing silly things that won. That won't work in a flat market.
Right.
So I would tell people just to do the work, do it every day, have a tight buy box. Don't get distracted. What would you tell them? Absolutely.
And again, I think we've said this, but don't try to time the market. Don't wait to buy real estate till values to come down. Buy real estate and wait. When you buy real estate and you're a buy and hold investor, you can weather economic ups and downs, right? You just keep buying, you leverage your equity, you buy things cheaper. Maybe they're uglier houses when the market's down and you have some upside and appreciation. But if you hold over the long term, real estate is the most malleable and flexible thing that's going to continue to give you cash flow, appreciation over time, mortgage pay down, tax benefits. I'm not in the stock market because I believe it's going to be flat. I'm all in real estate in different ways because I know how to play to each of the cycles and use it to my advantage. So I'm actually excited that when prices come down, I'm not going to have a flat decade. I had a huge up decade. When we get back to recession and recovery, which I think is coming, we're going to have another huge decade if we're in real estate and we're continuing to buy when everybody's fearful.
Folks, all I got to tell you is if you're sitting on the sidelines, this is the time to do the work. If you want to know what the work is, the cheap course, $320, private Facebook group. But even if you don't have the $320, buy the book one rental at a time. It's $15 on Amazon, or just go to Anna's playlist. She's got 3 years of material. Binge watch that. There's hundreds of hours of stuff there. Anna, how can people find you?
Great. You can find me here every week on the playlist, on social media at Anna Kelly, REI Mom, and at reimom.com.
Awesome. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you.